It's an honor to have Mr. S.K. Misra here with us today. Briefly, just to recount my first experience with him, it was only yesterday, 1974. 1974, and you must hear this. He was the principal secretary to the then chief minister in Haryana, Chaudhry Bansi Lal. He also was the chairman of Haryana Tourism Corporation. And he's the one who introduced so many firsts in the country. Highway tourism was not heard of. So on all the roads that came from Delhi through Haryana, there was a tourism complex. And if today we have these big brand hotels who have a 3-star brand, 4-star brand, 5-star brand, Mr. Misra was able to introduce in the same complex an oasis for middle-class tourists and one for high-end tourists. So when I went to meet him, I didn't know him from anywhere, no introduction. I sought an appointment. I was given an appointment, and when I went to his office, his secretary said, have you met the MD? I said, no. So MD was Mr. Ashok Pava, the late Ashok Pava. So I went to his office, met him, saying, what are you beating him for? So I said, this is my mission. So he said, then go, tell him you met me. So I went up, said I met him. He met me for just 3 minutes. He said, very good idea, go and do it. When I go back to Mr. Pava, he said, kya hua? He said, go and do it. So he said, then do it. So I was looking at Ashok Pava with some confusion in my mind. He said, bolo, kya bol rahe ho? Kuch kehna hai? मैंने कहा सर वो कुछ work order or something? तो he looked at me, बरखुरदार, तुम जिस आदमी से मिल के आए हो, उनके इशारे पे लोग करोड़ों रुपए खरीदते हैं, तुम्हें एक work order चाहिए. So Mr. Misra, so nice to have you here with us, sir. Can you please read out your keynote address? So you just talk about your association, because we have today discussed the symbiotic relationship between culture, heritage and tourism. Culture, heritage, tourism. You have worked on this theme itself through the Surajkund Crafts Mela, through all the curio shops you put up at all the Haryana tourism complexes, later as twice chairman of INTAC and now as Indian Trust for Rural Heritage and Development. You are bringing all these things continuously together. So just a few words on your journey and your message to all of us.
Good evening, everybody. On a lighter note, I think Navin didn't want me here because he called up my wife and asked him whether I would come, expecting a no. He said he wasn't calling me because I would say yes. But despite that, I'm here. I'm very happy to see all of you, so I'm sure all of you will be happy to see me. Now, on a more serious note, we have a tremendous potential for tourism. And if only tourism was taken serious note of, which really it is not by the government, our economy would have been in a much better shape. There are so many countries which are entirely dependent on tourism. We could have tapped so many sources which we have left untouched and which provides a tremendous potential. Also, we need to exhibit our treasures, our rich cultural treasures abroad, which we did in the 1980s in the festivals of India, in France, USA, Soviet Union, and Japan, which I had the privilege of handling. As a result of those festivals, we got hundreds of visitors from Europe and from America. It was massive. Also, it is aided by the fact at that very time, the Gandhi film was released. That provided a greater publicity on India. Now there is need for repeating the same festival in other countries and even repeating in the same countries, which can bring in a lot of. On a personal note, I may mention that because of the Festival of India in America, my wife and I came together, my daughter and my son-in-law came together. At that apart, I think that is one of the very essential things that need to be repeated. Secondly, one aspect of tourism which has been totally neglected is rural tourism. Rural tourism has tremendous potential in the country that you cannot imagine. It serves a dual purpose. Not only will it bring tourists to the rural areas, it will also develop the rural areas and help in rural development. That is very important. We have so much treasures in the rural areas, even a lot of heritage in the rural areas which we are looking after. In fact, we had a recent study done of 3 districts, Banaras, Balia, and Munnar in Kerala, where every village was documented of the heritage buildings. And I was amazed to see what wealth there is. Now, for rural tourism, Government of India had started it, but mismanaged it because they were not properly planned. What is needed is that you identify an important tourist center, particularly for foreign tourists, and next to it, say within 2 hours of journey, you have some places which have a big attraction. Now we focused on Varanasi. Close to that is the city of Azamgarh. In Azamgarh, there are 3 villages, one known for its handloom products, and it has a very old tradition of 400 years. Ibn Battuta, the modest traveler, came there and is recorded in his travelogue. There's another village which is famous for its black pottery, where Prime Minister Modi took some products for presentation to the Japanese Prime Minister. And the third is a musician's village where every family, or rather every Brahmin family, is a classical musician. And we brought them together, we brought them this thing, and over the last 10 years, there is an astounding change in all these villages. I talked to some of the hoteliers in Varanasi. I said, why don't you organize day trips? They can go first to Mubarakpur, see the handloom scene, go to Nizamabad, have lunch over there with potters, and then to the musicians' village where there's a concert, and then back to Varanasi. This is a good idea because it gives them an extra night. Now, a large number of tourists would prefer to see the real rural India instead of just flipping from one 5-star to another 5-star. I may tell you that I went to China with Devi Lal, who was Deputy Prime Minister. They arranged for him 7-star comfort. He refused that. He said, I want to stay in a village. They were completely taken aback. They'd never been used to such a thing. But he insisted. So we spent 4 days in the village, meeting the people, dining with them, chatting with them, and it was great fun. Now, this is a thing that we would like tourists to, if we publicize that in the right manner, have the right facilities over there, homestays and all that, I think it can bring about a big, big bang in tourism, and that is what we need. Now, there are also need for opening up new areas. Now, as all of you know, Buddhism attracts a lot of foreign tourists. But there are centers mostly in the urban areas. Sanchi is there, Bodhgaya is there, the other centers are there. What we have decided is to identify Buddhist heritage sites in rural areas. There are hundreds of them spread all states. Andhra has many, Gujarat has many, Orissa has many, UP has many. And we intend to, these centers at one time were center of civic activity. And entire activity of the village is centered around these sites. But now, over the period of time, they've been discarded. Now we want to identify them, restore them, and we have set up an academy for which we've got free land in Andhra Pradesh, and we want to train up special conservationists for this work. So this is also another addition to this thing. We, from our organization, Indian Trust for Rural Heritage and Development, have been doing a lot in the villages, which in the long run will help to bring in more tourists. And I think it's necessary for the tourism industry to identify a number of NGOs, because NGOs can play a very useful role in identifying and in helping you to bring tourists and to bring about improvements. When I was secretary, things were very different. Infrastructure was bad, there was no technology. I mean, it was going uphill. It was a task trying to find 1 million tourists. But now things have changed. Infrastructure is there, whether it's roads, whether it's railways, whether it's air travel. But still something is lacking. And what is lacking, which prevents people from coming? I mean, you can have your best hotels, you can do all that you do to improve the hotels to world standard. But unless you get tourists, it's not going to be of much effect. Now the biggest problem since my time, since right up to this time, take the case of Delhi pollution. Pollution is one factor that distracts people from coming over here. I remember at one time Mexico had this problem. I went there and I witnessed it myself. But now they've got it. London had it, New York had it, but all of them have now got rid of it. Why is it that we can't get rid of pollution? There's something wrong in our system. So we have to attend to these problems before we move forward. So I think there is need for concerted effort all around. In each mohalla, there should be, a responsibility for cleanliness, removal of all garbage and everything. So unless we have this, what is most important and which is there in other countries like Germany, Japan, all is character. We don't have this character. Chalta hai. That is the approach. Koi baat nahi. Unless we do that, all our efforts in other directions will yield results up to a certain point. But what we really need to achieve, the optimum, that will still elude us. So I only wanted to say these few words, and thank you very much.